Imagine this. A spacecraft the size of a car drifting alone through the void, 14.5 billion miles away from home. Carrying with it not just human technology, but something more, a heartbeat, a voice. For nearly 5 decades, Voyager 1 has been sailing through space, whispering secrets from the edge of our known universe. It was built to observe but never to act, to listen but never to speak. And yet, just weeks ago, something changed. Signals began arriving that made no sense. Pulses with impossible precision. Patterns nested within patterns. Instruments turning on without command. And then came the drift. Voyager wasn't just moving anymore. It was being guided toward something. Something that defies logic. Something invisible to every telescope we possess, yet real enough to bend the trajectory of a machine launched in 1977. Was it malfunction, coincidence, or was something out there in the darkness between stars responding? What you're about to hear is not science fiction. These are NASA's own findings, carefully buried in classified reports, now leaking into public view. Because Voyager may have just done what no probe in history has ever accomplished. It may have found a response. Not from Earth. Not from us. But from them. Voyager 1's journey began with a rare cosmic alignment, a window that only opens once every 175 years. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune had lined up like stepping stones across the solar system, and NASA seized the chance to build 2 spacecraft, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, that could ride the gravity of each planet like a slingshot to the next. The engineering marvels of the 1970s, these probes were built with less computing power than a digital wristwatch, yet designed with such foresight that they're still functioning today. After breathtaking encounters with Jupiter and Saturn, Voyager 1 turned northward, out of the ecliptic, out of the plane of the solar system, and toward the stars. Its planetary mission was over, but its legacy was only beginning. Over the decades, it continued its silent voyage, moving 1,000,000 miles a day into the cosmic dark. It transmitted data from regions no human creation had ever reached. The edge of the heliosphere, the termination shock, and finally, in 2012, the threshold into interstellar space itself. But out there, beyond the sun's protective bubble, the environment was far from empty. Voyager recorded denser plasma, unchanging magnetic fields, and strange oscillations that scientists could barely explain. The deeper it went, the stranger the data became. And then, something changed. In late 2017, Voyager's control team at NASA noticed something deeply troubling. Its antenna, which should have been aligned with Earth, was reporting a misalignment. But the signal strength was perfect, as if the spacecraft was both out of position and yet still precisely locked onto us. It was like hearing someone speak from behind a wall while watching them stand silently in front of you. Internal checks revealed nothing wrong. Then came the wave patterns, rhythmic plasma oscillations that didn't fade, didn't scatter, and didn't match anything we'd ever seen before. And then temperature spikes. Every 4.8 hours, Voyager's external systems would heat up by nearly 30 degrees, then cool back down like clockwork. Like breathing. The energy wasn't coming from inside. Something external was touching the probe. Worse still, despite the stress, Voyager's systems began to operate more efficiently. This wasn't degeneration. This was optimization. Something was modifying how the 1970s machine processed energy, rerouting power like a modern AI. But Voyager doesn't have AI. It doesn't have autonomy. And yet, it was anticipating commands, reacting before instructions were even sent. Either it had become something more, or something out there had taken the controls. By early 2025, Voyager 1's position was off. Not wildly, but just enough to notice. A few kilometers at first, then hundreds, then thousands. The deviation wasn't erratic. It was purposeful, measured, like Voyager was being nudged deliberately toward something. Engineers at JPL scrambled to correct it. They sent countercommands, fired backup thrusters. Voyager acknowledged the instructions, but it didn't change course. It was as if something was overriding NASA's commands. Like a ship changing tack against the wind, Voyager made slow, calculated adjustments. And the destination was absurd, a patch of space 4.3 light-years away. Nothing known is there. No stars, no planets, just a blank spot on our deepest maps. Yet Voyager was heading there with frightening precision, as if answering a call. When NASA issued a Hail Mary command to reactivate Voyager's long-dead camera system, they expected silence. What they got was a response. The camera came online, not only online, but performing beyond its original specs. And it didn't send a photograph. It sent a spiral. Not a random swirl, but a mathematically perfect pattern, layered, concentric, dense with information. A fingerprint, a map, a message. This image wasn't just strange. It was impossible for Voyager's 1970s hardware to create on its own. The system hadn't merely been reactivated. It had been reprogrammed. One by one, other long-dormant instruments followed, and none behaved the way they used to. Instead of raw telemetry, they sent compressed, structured packets, patterns within patterns, information that looked optimized by something smarter than Voyager, something other. Then came the timing. Pulses from distant pulsars arranged themselves into a three-dimensional web with Voyager at the center. The map that emerged pointed toward the same point Voyager was drifting to, an invisible node in interstellar space, a blank region, maybe a doorway. As Voyager 1 approached that uncharted sector, its instruments began to act in ways never documented before. The magnetometer stopped showing fluctuations and started showing stabilization, a zone of eerie calm in a universe otherwise turbulent. Cosmic rays dropped. Plasma density normalized. It was as if Voyager had crossed into a pocket of space where chaos paused, like someone had cleared the path ahead. This silence wasn't peaceful, it was surgical, an anti-chamber before something monumental. Mission logs began calling it the dark sector, an interstellar blind spot, a place devoid of the electromagnetic noise that fills the rest of space. No light returned. No external data passed through. Yet, inside this void, the signals Voyager received became stronger, more structured. They weren't random bursts or cosmic static. They were pulses, precise, timed, spatially layered. Something was there. Not emitting radiation, not reflecting light, but sending messages. In one of the strangest transmissions ever received from an interstellar probe, Voyager's low-gain antenna emitted a packet of raw binary code, thousands of lines. Initially dismissed as a glitch or cosmic ray interference, the signal was fed to AI decoding algorithms, and what emerged was staggering: embedded fractal symmetry, base 4 sequencing, and repeating motifs that mirrored the double helix structure of DNA. Scientists were paralyzed. Either Voyager was suffering the most organized meltdown ever seen, or something was using it to send a message in biology's language. There were codon-like sequences, but no protein output. Patterns mimicked organic chains, but contained deliberate errors, mutations that made sense. Not broken, but encrypted. This wasn't DNA. It was metadNA, a scaffold of something biological reinterpreted as a message, as if whatever sent it understood how life works, or how we work. Shortly after the DNA-coded signal, Voyager's gyroscopes began to spin on their own. The movement wasn't random. It matched Morse code rhythms, a dead system tapping messages into the void. Even more unsettling, when those patterns were converted to audio, they formed harmonic tones, frequencies that mirrored human speech cadence, but without phonemes or language. It was like hearing a ghost of communication, something trying to match us syllable by syllable. Psychologists were brought in, cryptographers, linguists. What they found was chilling. The tones correlated with emotional emphasis, rises and falls consistent with surprise, fear, curiosity. It wasn't speaking words. It was speaking intent, like something learning our rhythms, like it had been listening for decades. And now, finally, it was trying to speak back. Then came the final shock. Voyager 1 shifted course. Not a drift, not an anomaly, a controlled, deliberate arc. A turn not back to Earth, not toward a star, but into a region with no known mass, no gravitational pull, no celestial body to explain the change. Engineers confirmed it. Voyager 1 had executed a maneuver it wasn't programmed to perform. With no active propulsion and no commands sent, the turn wasn't random. It aligned with the pulsar grid received days earlier, A precise angle down to the decimal, as if Voyager had been given coordinates and accepted them. It's now en route to a spatial corridor we didn't know existed. A tear, a fold, a transit point. No one knows. But one fact echoed through mission control like a forgotten prophecy. Voyager 1 turned. Not because we told it to, but because something else did. Voyager 1 was never supposed to survive this long. It was designed for a planetary tour, not an interstellar pilgrimage. It was never meant to send back data beyond the edge of the solar wind. And it was certainly never built to receive anything. It was supposed to speak, to declare our presence to the stars with a golden record of whale songs, human laughter, and distant greetings. But now, decades after we last touched its frame, after it slipped into the void and disappeared into silence, it has done something no one predicted. It turned, not in failure, but in purpose. The signals it captured, the images it relayed, the spiral codes and harmonic pulses, the shifts in trajectory, they all point to one horrifyingly beautiful conclusion. Voyager 1 was not alone. It never was. Someone was listening, waiting, watching. And now that our most distant emissary has crossed the line between silence and response, we must ask a question no one at NASA dared speak aloud. What if we were never meant to look back? Because Voyager didn't just turn in space. It turned in narrative, in history, from tool to messenger, from observer to witness, and perhaps now to participant. We aimed it outward hoping for echoes. Instead, we may have summoned a mirror. So what happens next? Where does Voyager go? What waits at those impossible coordinates? And more importantly, what awaits us when it arrives? If this sent a chill down your spine, if Voyager's turn felt too precise, too timed, too human, then stay with us, because this isn't the end of the transmission. This is the first reply. Subscribe right now because the next update from Voyager could change everything. Hit the bell so you don't miss the signal when it arrives. Share this with someone who still believes deep space is empty. Comment below. Do you think Voyager found something, or did something find it?